Welcome to Table for 92, element number 18, argon. It's number 18 because it has exactly 18 protons within its nucleus. Today, we're cooking up some red wine marinated steak with roasted vegetables and a red wine reduction. Why? Because argon is used in wine and other foods for preservation. Because argon has almost no chemical reactions with other elements, it is used in food and drink preservation. It displaces oxygen, which is what causes bacterial growth, and therefore helps extend the shelf life, moisture, color, and vitamin C of different products. Now, it doesn't say on the label of the steak whether or not argon gas was used to help preserve this longer, but something was used to displace the oxygen in the meat packaging process. The acidity of red wine in the marinade will help to tenderize the meat. For the red wine marinade, I'm gonna mix together 3 cups of red wine, onion powder, ground pepper, soy sauce, minced garlic, olive oil, and some kosher salt. Wine, cheese, potato chips, nuts, pizzas, processed meats, poultry, orange juice, fresh pasta, prepared meals, and produce are all packaged with argon. The word argon literally translates from ancient Greek as lazy, so it's the laziest elements. You lazy bastard, argon. So yeah, argon has no chemical reactions. All the noble gases are lazy and don't interact with the other peasant elements like phosphorus. Silly, dirty peasant elements. It is just very interesting though that they chose to call these gases that don't interact with other elements as noble. Kinda says a lot about the time that they were discovered. Very rigid social stratification. Real, Downton Abbey vibes. Lady Grantham hanging out with Mr. Molesley? Just wouldn't happen. A lot of scientists in the 18th and 19th centuries were of a noble background because, really, they were the only people with enough money to do science full time. So, I can totally imagine them a small number of elements that don't interact with the vast majority of the other elements. Sounds like us. I feel like if the periodic table of elements was being discovered today, they would probably call the noble gases something like the introverted gases or the socially awkward gases. Argon's not only used in food preservation, though, it's used to preserve the Declaration of Independence for the same reason. It kicks out the degrading effects of oxygen. So, the next time Nicolas Cage decides to steal the Declaration of Independence, he should definitely bring some argon with him. Like so many of the elements, the discovery of argon was a multi-generational team effort, with scientists over centuries finding little clues, eventually identifying and isolating argon. The first kind of whispers of argon began with the famed Henry Cavendish, but he didn't realize he had found a new element. Cavendish analyzed and isolated the different gases that make up the atmosphere, and found 1% of those gases to be unreactive. But he didn't realize that he'd found a new element. It then took the discovery of helium during a solar eclipse in 1868 for chemists to start looking into other noble gases. And in 1898, the nobleman, Lord Rayleigh, working with nitrogen, noticed that nitrogen taken from the air had a higher density than nitrogen taken from evaporating ammonia. Sir William Ramsay went to a lecture by Rayleigh that covered the discrepancy in nitrogen and suggested Rayleigh should look for a lighter gas than ammonia, while Ramsay would look for a heavier gas. Ramsay ended up really outdoing himself there. He and his assistant Morris Travers would end up discovering not only argon, but also helium, xenon, neon, and krypton, all within a few years, creating a whole new row in the periodic table. Rayleigh would get the Nobel Prize for physics, while Ramsay would get for chemistry. Morris Travers, the assistant, would not get a Nobel Prize. Nobel Prizes were only for the nobles, at least back then. My best friend Wes, my heterosexual life mate, is an optometrist, and he told me about argon being used in eye surgery, and it's nuts. The argon laser can flow through fluid within the eye without damaging it, and can burn and seal leaking blood vessels. Pew pew pew. Argon is extremely useful in all sorts of capacities, from food preservation to eye surgery. And look, I've got my own argon, so I can preserve this leftover wine a little bit longer than it would otherwise. Away, foul oxygen. Thank you, and see you next time. please like and subscribe. It's easy. It helps me. Doesn't really help you, but it helps me.